Yes, my Straight Talk family, whenever you hear that theme song, you know it's time for another edition of Straight Talk. And time for me to bid you a very good night, St. Kitts and Nevis, and to say good night to the entire Caribbean region. To my Straight Talk family in the Kittitian and Nevision diaspora, I say greetings to all those who are on the World Wide Web. Those of you who are logged on to zizonline.com and other social media platforms, I say greetings to all of you, my Straight Talk family. Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, you do have a forum to express yourselves freely. Let us in the process try to keep St. Kitts and Nevis as one of the freest countries in the entire world. On this program, we try to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patrice Liburd, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And if you are joining me for the first time, I say welcome. We always have first timers. And I want to inform you that Straight Talk is a participative program. By that I mean we do include your calls and your emails. And if you're so minded to call, you can access the program via 465-2555 and or 718-577-2916. There are those of you who I like to say you enjoy the cloak of anonymity. You like to hide behind your keyboard, and we give you access by our email platform, which is zizstraightalk@gmail.com. And again, welcome to another edition of Straight Talk. Tonight, I want to look at the program, look at the caption, the United Nations Ambassador and the Law of Nature. But I like to keep you updated, and we know we are still within that COVID-19 pandemic. I know the measures have been reduced because the cases have been reduced, but as of yesterday, as of today, the latest report as of 6 p.m. today is that over the last 24 hours, we have had 8 cases, 8 confirmed cases, bringing the total number of cases to 573. There are 531 of such have been recovered. There are 39 active cases. I don't know if my math is right, but they're saying the number of cases in St. Kitts is 553 and 20 cases in Nevis. Nevis seem to have added 1 or 2 more cases. There's still, unfortunately, 3 deaths. But if we put this into the context of the world situation, there are 190,080,019 cases. We covered 177,000,000 23,049 cases. And the total deaths worldwide, 4,162,000. But the answer is to get vaccinated. And you've heard all sorts of debates about these vaccines. We learned today that the mayor of New York has said all public service workers, yes, if they're not vaccinated, then they have to test every week. That's an interesting turn in things. But in St. Kitts, 71.7% to be exact, of the targeted population, and there's some people use the overall population, and some use it deliberately, but that's beside the point. The targeted population, that's the population 18 years and over, there are some 71.7% or 72%, that's good news, have received their first dose, and 59% of the targeted population have received their second dose. And that's good news. We are going up and up, and people are getting vaccinated. So that's good, and we know that we'll have to live with COVID. We see all the countries around the world are experiencing this second virus, or the introduction of the Delta variant and the other variant. But in St. Kitts, we seem to be doing well thus far. We hope and pray that we can even do better, so we can fully open the economy, reduce the quarantine, and we can have trade flowing without impediment. Like I said tonight, my Straight Talk family, I want to look at the issue or the topic, the United Nations ambassador and the law of nature. And tonight I want to look at the United Nations, and in the process examine the law of nature. Because in recent times, lots of things have been said about the United Nations and its current ambassador. But a lot of things have also not been said. As for me, one of the first things I will say is I am who I am, and I will remain as Patches, because that is who I am, and you know me, and I know you. I'm someone who has always confronted the uncomfortable truths wherever I have been. And at this age and stage in my life, I have learned to adjust well to different environments. And I was reflecting before I introduced tonight's program on what I consider my first stint in public service. And I vividly recall becoming General Secretary of the St. Kitts Nevis Football Association in 1989, a long time ago. In the early 90s, I made a clarion call for lights in Warner Park during the official opening ceremony of the football season, and I can recall it was one hell of a hot August Sunday afternoon, and I called for lights. Following the ceremony, I was castigated by then President Franks Jr., my friend, and my fellow executive members. I believe Theo was a member of the executive, if I recall. And they all felt that, oh, he was not. But they all felt that I embarrassed the then Minister of Sports, Sidney Morris, the late Sidney Morris. But from their reaction, the footballers felt otherwise, Because when I called for lights, I could remember the footballers applauding loud, very loud, yeah, 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 yeah. The following morning, bright and early, I received a long letter from Sidney Morris detailing what his government did and did not do. But the truth be told, what mattered most to me then was the fact that I started the debate, and the following year we got floodlights in Warner Park, and players no longer had to run from work onto the playing field for the games that usually started at 4:30 in the afternoon. Spectators could now go home, take a fresh, then come back to Warner Park at 7 p.m. to look at their favorite team play under lights, and football became a real family sport in St. Kitts. Some of us, I'm sure, remember the crowds that used to be in Warner Park. I don't know what's happening now, but we decentralized football and we put lights all over the country. But I can go on and on. But I'm not one who indulges in self-praise. But upon reflection, I can confess that I started many conversations on things that happened in the Federation, sometimes years before they became huge national issues. So for me, it is not anything extraordinary to address what I referred to earlier as the uncomfortable truth. For me, that is who I am and how I operate, and I have always implored everyone who took part in any conversation on Straight Talk to speak the truth, but be prepared to stand alone. I am as patriotic as any Kittitian or Nevisian. I believe in all of our values, and one of our values is the truth. And truth has never hurt anyone. You remember in our young days, we used to say, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can do no harm. So let us talk about the United Nations in the context of St. Kitts Nevis and UN ambassadorship is what I call it. The first citizen of St. Kitts Nevis to be appointed ambassador extraordinary and plenipotentiary to the United Nations was Dr. William Valentine Herbert, also known as Billy Herbert. The last ambassador who apparently served at the UN before me was Sam Terence Condor. Now, I would not say anything about Billy Herbert except to note that he was the founder and leader of the People's Action Movement, and according to the official records, he may still be a missing person. I stand to be corrected. But for that reason, I will not entertain any other discussion about Billy Herbert, since he is presumed to be dead, and dead men, it is said, tell no tales. With respect to Sam Condor, he apparently served as ambassador and permanent representative of St. Kitts Nevis to the United Nations. I say apparently because at times when he speaks about the United Nations, you wonder if he is referring to the same organization here in New York. But I also know that he spent most of his time in St. Kitts. He did not seem to understand, after so many years, that the United Nations is an intergovernmental organization aiming to maintain international peace and security, develop friendly relations among nations, achieve international cooperation, and be a center for harmonizing the actions of nations. It is the world's largest, most familiar, most representative, and most powerful international organization. Some people refer to it as the world's parliament. The United Nations is headquartered on international territory right here in New York City, but has other main offices in Geneva, Nairobi, Vienna, and The Hague. It is a founding document of the United Nations called the Charter of the United Nations, or the UN Charter, which was signed on 26 June 1945 in San Francisco at the conclusion of the United Nations Conference on International Organization. It came into force on the 24th of October 1945. The United Nations can take action on a wide variety of issues due to its unique international character and the powers vested in its charter, which is considered an international treaty. As such, the UN Charter is an instrument of international law, and United Nations member states are bound by it. Now, the United Nations has 6 principal organs: the General Assembly, the Security Council, the Economic and Social Council, the Trusteeship Council, the International Court of Justice, and the Secretariat. Let us examine the ambassadorship. The term ambassador, by the way, comprehends the officer having diplomatic functions, whatever their title or designation. And I will hasten to add that the office of ambassador is established by the Constitution. To be specific, Chapter 7, Part 2 of the St. Kitts Nevis Constitution refers to the appointment of certain officers. Section 79, subsection 2, or rather, I should say, in fact, there is a proviso at Section 79, subsection 2C, which relates to the appointment to the office of ambassador, high commissioner, or other principal representatives of St. Christopher and Nevis in any other country or accredited to any international organization. It goes on to also stipulate that the Governor General shall act in accordance with the advice of the Prime Minister. I provide this information just to alert you, my Straight Talk family, that there is constitutional guidance in relation to the office of ambassador. I also wanted to make it abundantly clear that nowhere in the St. Kitts Nevis Constitution you will find that once appointed to the office of ambassador, you automatically forfeit or lose the constitutional protection or your fundamental rights and freedoms, which includes freedom of conscience, freedom of expression, and freedom of assembly and association. So when I heard the comments of the former ambassador Sam Kondo, really, I cringed. I thought for a moment that I can simply apply what I call the Mark Twain theory. And it was the late Liburd who made me aware of this quotation, when he said to me some time ago, long time ago, that he said to me, Patches, never argue with a fool, as he will bring you down to his level and beat you with experience. But hear this, I won't even apply the Mark Twain theory. Instead, I will allow the former ambassador to respond to himself. I will allow Sam Kondo to respond to himself. because he said this, and it made me cringe.
No, that is really wrong. That is out of order. You're supposed to be representing all the citizens, like the government is supposed to be representing all the countries. You cannot take part in a radio program where you're attacking one half of the citizenry every week. That is just wrong. I mean, everybody knows that is wrong. I don't know why people are pretending that they don't understand that is wrong.
I want to replay that soundbite in the event we didn't hear all of it. Let me play it one more time. My Straight Talk family.
Whether an ambassador should take part? Absolutely not.
Take part in what?
Well, the radio programs.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely not. That is really wrong. That is out of order.
Okay.
You're supposed to be representing all the citizens, like the government is supposed to be representing all the countries. You cannot take part in a radio program where you're attacking one half of the citizenry every week. That is just wrong. I mean, everybody knows that is wrong. I don't know why people are pretending that they don't understand that is wrong.
On my Straight Talk family, I said to you, I won't even apply the Mark Twain theory. What I will do is to allow the former ambassador Sam Kondo to talk to himself.
They don't credit me, and I don't make no fuss about that. People think that I'm stupid, I ain't got no sense. I always have to follow what people say.
Well, so I won't, or don't need to respond any further. I allow him to talk to himself. You know, it is so amazing, my Straight Talk family. On one hand, they talk about integrity in public life, freedom of information, and good governance. But at the same time, they want to shut down free speech. There's another one who robbed the government treasury, but started peddling this stupidness as well. But Premier Brantley fixed him well enough that I believe he should understand the stupidness he was talking.
If you tell me that if you said to me, caller, that any ambassador is out there in the United States or in Canada or at the UN or wherever they are posted, engaging in activities that can bring St. Kitts and Nevis into disrepute, insofar as diplomacy is concerned, and that's a matter for me. You come with some story about PAM. What PAM have to do, what PAM, let me ask you something, what PAM and PAM internal politics have to do with the foreign ministry?
Because it involves the ambassador to the UN as his response to them indicated.
And what does that have to do with his role as UN ambassador?
What?
How does that impact his role as UN ambassador?
No, for one thing,
yes,
right, I would have thought the ambassador would be representative of all its citizens, okay? Isn't that so?
Well, I really don't know what you're saying, you know. The Prime Minister is representative of all the citizens, but the Prime Minister is PLP. I'm representative of all the people in Nevis, but I'm CCM. So what you...
No.
Let us leave it there. I think go and take two Eno and come back later, okay? Because okay. You're not making... No, you're not making sense tonight, caller. So we'll leave it there.
Premier Brantley was very kind. He said he was not making sense. He asked him to go and take to Eno. But for my part, I would recommend to him and to the Sams not to take Eno. I would recommend that they take to Brooklacks. Go take to Brooklacks when they come in and talking the stupidness. Because you see, when they take the Brooklacks, they will start to sing like a penguin, no doubt.
Like, I keep singing every day, remember how we say, what's sweet and good about the summer, what if you flying, I say, things just make you cry.
Yes, I had to make it jig a little bit. How many of you remember that calypso? Was sweet in goat mouth, was sour in a bam bam. So I won't give them no Eno. I will give them 2 booklacks. How many of us remember booklacks? So let me declare tonight. I want to declare tonight, and I want you to listen to me carefully. No one can take away my fundamental rights and freedoms. And I will repeat that. None of them has the moral authority to speak about the leadership of Harris. And no one, as I said, can take away my fundamental rights and freedoms. None of them can speak about leadership. They don't have the moral authority.
I think the government has really lost touch. It has lost its moral authority, really, in terms of really addressing the needs and the concerns of our people. We have seen, we have heard the title of a program, Leadership Matters, but we have seen no leadership really in terms of trying to address the concerns of the ordinary folks.
My family, you know, Prime Minister Harris can speak well, and he can defend himself, I know, and so can I. They are the ones who attacked me before the last elections with the groundless allegations, and now they come after elections and they want to muzzle me. But ambassador should have radio programs. I was quiet then, and now they want to shut down free speech. But I have always retorted with the facts. And the facts are, and they don't like this, that Dwyer Astafan has not accounted to the country to date for the $60 million of public funds that was referred to in a contract that he personally signed as minister responsible for the Frigate Bay Development Corporation. And we will still ask the question until he answers, as he ain't got Alzheimer's. So you must remember, what on earth does the Frigate Bay Corporation has to do with La Valley in Sandy Point? And the only thing he has said to the country is, I don't remember. But we know at La Valley, there's no golf course. Where's the La Valley Greens? Yes, we see the abandoned desalination plant, and we see the abandoned 2.5 megawatt generator. But where has the $60 million gone, Dwyer Astafan? That's the question I ask.
Apparently, he wants me to explain to the nation why I, as a minister, signed an agreement. Well, it seems as though he wants me to explain why I signed. I'm told that he said he's not accusing anybody of bubble, but that he was just asking, where's the money? That's what I'm told, right? And I don't remember. But let me say what I have to say. I'm not saying it didn't happen.
Can't say it didn't happen. The facts are, as well, that Sam Kondo was removed as Minister of Foreign Affairs because of apparent nefarious activity that debarred him from entering the United States of America for nigh 20 years. Those are the facts. Nobody's attacking anybody. All we are doing on Straight Talk is presenting the facts. And those are the facts. Those are the facts.
back in 2001. I had, in fact, removed Sam Conda as the foreign minister because the U.S. government had indicated to me that no U.S. official would be ever photographed with Conda. And so they were not pleased with the fact that he was appointed as the foreign minister. They would not do any business with him.
And those are the facts. And I can say, I can provide, I did before. I have copies of the diplomatic note from the U.S. State Department denying his access. But since before the 2020 elections, they both launched a baseless attack on me and are still continuing. And all I will do is to exercise my right to respond. And when I do so, I provide a supporting evidence. And I say that Sam must be eternally grateful to Prime Minister Harris, who got him a U.S. visa from 2015 to 2020 to go to the international territory at the UN in New York. Sam Conda is still trying to play an active role in the politics of St. Kitts Nevis, a country that has given him all that he owns. I was in cabinet. He got acres of land on the Kim Collins Highway. And according to this caller, this aptly describes his performance as a politician. These are the views of the caller to this very program, not me. These are the views of this caller who had this to say about the former ambassador.
Some kind of left the people them up the village bathing in a bath pan, and he had a frigate bay in a swimming pool. He left the people at the village who voted for him all these years and moved to frigate bay, and he had a frigate bay in a swimming pool. And he over there, them up there still bathing in a bath pan, and he over frigate bay in a swimming pool.
Let's show dog family. The truth is, when you examine empirical evidence, anyone would be hard-pressed to establish what Conda has given back to his constituency in number 3 after 26 years as its parliamentary representative. Furthermore, one would also be hard-pressed to establish what has Sam Conda done for St. Kitts Nevis at home or abroad. After all, Sam, the motto, our motto, is still country above self. But I can testify that by the will of God, I hosted this talk show called Straight Talk before I became ambassador to the United Nations. And by the will of God, I will continue to host Straight Talk. And if it's the will of God, I'll be hosting Straight Talk after I debate the office of the ambassador to the United Nations. And I can assure you, that unlike all of them, I will never bring St. Kitts Nevis into disrepute as the United Nations ambassador and permanent representative of St. Kitts Nevis. Speaking on behalf of my own country at the United Nations, I can hereby assure you of our unwavering support for and full commitment to democracy and good governance all around the world. In a world marked by humanitarian crises and geopolitical challenges, strong Kittitian and Nevian leadership is absolutely critical, and I will provide such leadership at home and abroad. I will always defend the values and interests of the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis. I will stand by our friends and allies as ambassador to the United Nations. But at the same time, I will never forsake the people of my constituency and by extension the people of my country. Neither will I ever forget what Newtown, what East Bastia and St. Kitts Nevis has done for me. How then can I abandon my public service and in so doing abandon Straight Talk, which is a public service program that for 10 years has promoted all the issues of national interest, be they legal, environmental, technological, social, economic, or political issues. You hear me say that each time. So I will continue to advocate for the poor and the weak in society, and I will never fail to work with those who genuinely wish to advance the cause of human dignity. Sam Condor and Dwyer Astafan have gone back home to Douglas, but want me to stay quiet while they undermine our Team Unity government. They went back home to Douglas.
Labour is big and powerful and strong again. All of our people are back on board. Tell them, I say, Dwyer back on board, Sam Condor back on board, all of them back on board, all of them back on board.
All of them back on board because they wanted to undermine Team Unity. Yes, they went back home after saying terrible things about Douglas. Remember? He even said this, Sam Condor, and inferred things about Douglas. Listen this.
What I could say to Douglas is that I know that the Jambo had given him money, he had loaned him money, and he had invested. And just before Zambo died, there was a meeting between Halva, myself, and Zambo about how he could recover his monies that he invested in the property and his property and so on. And Halva was supposed to organize a meeting with Zambo and Douglas to make those arrangements. I think those meetings were organized, but shortly after that, Zambo died, shot to death.
Shot to death. So why Sam Condor failed to ignore or chose not to answer this caller to groundless? That's the question that baffles everyone. Why he did not answer this simple question?
I listen to the program and I'm quite interested in the program, and we're born in the 80s, so a lot of the history I'm not aware of. I'm quite aware of the 67 incident you're speaking about, because fortunately for me I met two men in Anguilla who told me about it. But what I wanted to ask Mr. Sam Condor a question. To remember during the 2015 election campaign, I think I overheard you talking about some kind of assassination of Zambo by the former Prime Minister. You see, maybe you were saying he was involved in it.
Watch it.
And you also spoke
Watch
about...
Okay.
No, he strayed.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
He strayed.
No.
Yes.
I don't want to.
Caller, we don't want to go down that line like you're going right now, you know? So I don't know if you could come with some other perspective.
Different instances, it'll be good for everybody to understand. I heard Mr. Condor speak about something with Zambo and money, and when he went...
Okay.
He didn't get it.
Let's take a different call.
Yes. Confronted with the truth, they don't want to hear it. And that's the issue we have with many people. Dwyer Astafan, no doubt, still feels this way about Dr. Douglas. He probably still feels this way.
If Breccia had to come out of the grave tomorrow, the first thing he would do is slap off Douglas. And this Douglas ain't got nothing to do with labor in his roots. Nothing. He's an imposter. He's a fraud. He's a fake.
Went back home to the imposter. He went back home to the fraud. And we know how Douglas felt about both of them. But they were so desperate to bring down Prime Minister Harris and his team in the government that they even ate their own vomit. But really, nothing is more absurd than what some people have advanced and are trying to maintain. That I am doing something wrong by hosting an informative talk show where I try to educate the country. But I'm doing something wrong hosting this talk show as an ambassador every Monday and Thursday night. Go take some Brooklaks. You know, ironically, it was Dr. Denzel Douglas as Prime Minister back then who headhunted me to join the public service. And he captured me with those two words, public and service. Douglas said to me back in 1995, man patches is public service. And he captured me. Well, I am here, and I'm still here tonight, continuing that public service on the straight up. So, to those who still support me, you can be assured that I believe there is still an opportunity to make you feel proud. As ambassador to the United Nations, my basic role is to represent and promote the interests of the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis at the World Forum. At some time, we'll probably go into the Consulate General matters, but time won't permit me tonight. But I can assure you, I will find time, as tough as it may be, I will find time to have a conversation with you, my people, every Monday and Thursday night, if that is the will of God. Finally, I want to briefly touch the law of nature, or natural law, which, according to the Old Testament, was understood as the moral law that dwells within the heart, conscience, and the right reason of every human being. The universal moral law, or this universal moral law, is found in the Old Testament in the book of Genesis. And if we take a moment and scan chapter 9 and verse 6, Moses wrote in 1400 BC that God had a moral law to govern humanity, which reads, "Whoever sheds man's blood, by man his blood shall be shed. For in the image of God he made man." Should I repeat it? The moral law that governs humanity. Whoever sheds man's blood, by man his blood shall be shed. For in the image of God he made man. I am happy that the law of nature was considered by the framers of our own Constitution, who were no doubt Christian-minded enough to have incorporated into the supreme law of our land, the supreme law of our Federation of two islands and this one beautiful paradise. The law of nature was clearly expressed in the St. Christopher and Nevis Declaration of Independence as a legal foundation for a new self-governing nation. If you doubt me, go read the preamble, I think it is called, of the Constitution of St. Kitts and Nevis, which states, and I quote, "Whereas the people of St. Christopher and Nevis declare that the nation is established on the belief in Almighty God and the inherent dignity of each individual, and assert that they are entitled to the protection of fundamental rights and freedoms." So to all who are trying to muzzle me, just think of this. You are free to promote the interests of the opposition, and no one can take that right and freedom from you. So too, I am free and committed, ambassador or not, to promote the interests of the Team Unity government and all parties, and no one can take that right and freedom from me. You continue to promote Dr. Douglas, but there's only one Prime Minister, who is Dr. Timothy Sylvester Harris, and I will continue to promote him because I believe that it is the best public interest to do so. That is my story tonight, and I'm clinging to that story. I did before 9. I've tarried long because I had to get these matters out and clear the air on the stupidness that is being said. And like I said, we're going to give them some booklocks. So I'll open the lines right now. I'll entertain your calls and your emails. Before I do, I always like to implore you, respect others. To achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to our concern. Let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let us ensure that the things you say and or do will be beneficial to all concerned. Let us in the process in saying and or doing those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. With that said, I'll go to the lines and entertain this caller, you are live.
Good evening, Honorable Patrice. You say a lot about my party, but somebody say you need a wife who got a big position because the one before you, he had a wife to his side. So you need a wife to hold that big position. And looking at Zed, I need Zed to get a good outlook. And watching at them, giving them a week's pay while you all work. You are killing Zed because the panic station man, he worked there for a lot of years, and a lot of them, Willie White, all of them work there. A lot of them have Shana Shepherd and all of them there work there. So Zed need a good overhaul. And looking at poor people, we can't get rich. We getting poor and poorer. When the election gone, nobody studying nobody to give them nothing. We all have democratic rights to say what we got to say. And looking at the churches, some of them say there's minister, but they ain't really a minister because they just spit up in the face and fight back down because they do a lot of wrong things. So,
can I ask you a question?
That is what I got to say. And sympathy going out to bread, he fall on Friday in Newtown to the alley, but it's Fulton going on there. After he leave, his friend them were talking. I will call back later. See you.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
You always keep talking about marriage. You want to marry me?
Yeah. Me gonna get dead because in like a woman them out there watch because they say at $30,000 you'll get. Oh, I want to talk about that. Looking at the man over care, right? Where you are then get the position. He said, I get $31 million to keep the peace, and the peace still going on bad. and looking at these 3 men who come out the jail. They're running from the sickness, but the police kept them on Saturday night when they jumped the hyacinths. Later, I called.
Can I ask you another question?
Yes.
Can I ask you one more question?
Yes.
What is the panic factory?
I don't know, because I don't talk about it, and I know it now because somebody tell me the name. But it back used to work as I said. So them thing up there, well and take out and put in new ones.
What the boss name?
I know your name. Tell you right down my money.
Okay, have a good night.
Are your family too? Don't follow nobody kill your family with the panic factory. See you. All I got is them titles. See you.
Okay, you're right. It's my family. Let's go back to the lines. Call you live. Hello, caller. Okay, I missed that call.
Good night.
I tarry long with my neighbor friend. Your live caller.
Yes. Good night.
Good night, my dear.
And how are you?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. I hear you talking these things. Please, Granny used to say, silence speaks louder than words. You got the facts, use it on them. Don't waste your breath. Please, don't waste your breath. You got the facts, use it.
Okay.
Granny say, silence speaks louder than words, and you have the facts. Use it on them. Just leave it there and use it on them. Don't give up straight talk. You were speaking straight talk before, long before you're in your job, and you're going to continue it. God spare life, you're going to continue it. So, keep on, have a good night, be safe, going home. Love you, bye.
Love you more. Love you more. Thank you very much. I won't give up straight up. Call you live.
Yes, namesake. Good night.
Yes,
why you're punching way above your weight, man. But God is good. And don't worry about them, because you see the problem, the old people just said truth got fire in its tail. And a man from Challengers met me and tell me one time that, Dracula eat the conscience and put in an empty coconut shell. That's what happened to a lot of us in Sinkies. Sinkies people need to understand and know the history, because if you don't know the history, you're doomed to relive it. That is, this country is doing well because we got a leader who knows how to run a country. No wonder he stayed in the Labour Party in spite of all what they were saying. I want it now and I want it now. He is doing it, and that's what hurt them, because none of them could walk in his shoes. The man got the experience, and the old people will say experiential experience, and he's using it on them, and that's the strategy that he's using now to beat them, and that's why he can handle this country and run it without the country making any foreign investment. The country is running well, and the people are thinking, who tell them they're not living well, better than before? They got to be a hypocrite, because I'm kind of show you that the Sinkits and Nevis people is better off now than 20 years ago. And practice, there's an old adage say, the dog that go back to his vomit, his last state is worse than the first. And there's one more thing I want to say to you tonight. I want you to speak to the minister, which is a bishop, the minister of agriculture. I think he's the permanent secretary, to work with the people that been given to work with him. This is not time for us to oppress our people. This is time, if our people doing something and you find that is not right, you should be able to take them aside and encourage them, not to fight against them and try to push them out of a job. This is not good enough. We are in the COVID, and we got to make sure everybody entitled to eat in a bread, and make sure that everybody live happy and peaceful, because we live in a country that believes in God. And when we preach God, we got to live God. So you have a good night, and continue to trust God, because God is going to see you through, because Sinkits and Nevis is here to stay, and we're going to remain. And whatever comes after COVID, only God knows. But this country is going to continue to go from strength to strength. When we have good leaders, and man with a heart, and man who know God, then the country going to continue to go from strength to strength. God bless you. Have a good night.
Blessed as well. Let's go straight back to the lines. Call you live. It's 9 o'clock.
Good night, Brother Patches. And
Good night,
to the Federation of St.
my brother.
and Nevis.
How are you?
I tuned in late, but I heard a part of your statement. You are a public servant and made your statement loud and clear. And I understand that. I will say, like again, as I listened to you, I didn't have the opportunity to meet with you and to say, gather information about you in that respect. But so far, in my account, you are doing wonderful. Okay? I'm not a party, a taker of any political party. I'm just a listener and a straight talk, straightforward, upfront person. Like I said again, you are doing a good job. So I'm not going to take what people describe you to me as arrogant, etc. and etc. Now, in respect to the issue that you elaborate on about the shooting, the assassination of Zambo, and if there are suspects, if there are information, shouldn't there be an investigation open by law? Is this man's death gone in vain? Who is investigating? Why the investigation has not opened up? Why talking and there are no action? Okay? Open up an investigation to whom it may concern. A death has occurred and there is a mystery. Okay? I must inject this. My dignity is your dignity and your dignity is my dignity. That's what God installed in all of us. And we must practice it to respect one another. Now, I am baffled with these hearsay and them say and what if and what not. Why not an investigation open up in respect to the wrongdoings of ministers? Are they immune or they are above the law? That's one part of my curiosity. I will come back with something else. I will yield for others, but I will like an answer. And as an ambassador, a lot of people don't understand what an ambassadorship is doing. So if you could explain that to people, to give an idea what your work is all about. I heard a part of yours, and I know what it should be, but a lot of people don't understand. So that they could understand more clearly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll get back to that in the break. But let's go to the call your line.
Sorry about that. Good evening, Dr. Ian Patches Liburd.
Your humble servant. Good evening.
Okay, brother. I'm glad to hear you, man.
Sure.
Your sound is so powerful and strong as usual. First advice. Go ahead.
I'm peaceful. I'm peaceful.
Okay, let me give you a little advice here, Patches. If you have a pillow full with feathers, and the pillow bust and all the feathers get you in the yard, never try to pick them up while they're dry. Wet them down. If you try to pick them up while they're dry, you're going to be wasting time all day. But once they're wet, you would not be wasting time. In a couple seconds, all will be picked up. I don't know if you could read through the lines where that power will come from. Now, Patches, I want to go back. Now, listen this. Just before the 2015 general election we had here, the leader of the loose Labour Party, they hired a woman from Antigua by the name of Ebony Brandon, and they had her up the government national radio station ZNZ every morning from 2013 up to 2015, abusing all the devil out of the opposition, which was the Unity Constructed Party. That was okay. That was good enough for the national radio station, Mr. Troffman. So when you come talking about Patches as a minister of as a representative up in United Nations, he has the right to be on the radio with the political program, everything. Mr. Troffman, where were you? Where were you when that was going on, Mr. Troffman? Was that okay? And you like to talk about good governance and bad governance. When you ignore the children, them up in Fitzroy College, Boyan College, when you ignore them, your duty was to go and teach the children. You abandon them, and you find time to be up in the industrial site doing another job. But you was collecting from the treasury, which you never did work for. Mr. Troffman, examine them. Mr. Brantley said, you need to, but I will add to it a pack of senna leaf. They will help
the booklocks.
Oh yeah, and the booklock. And if you want to rinse it off or roll it up, add a little milk to it and drink that, Mr. Troffman. That's enough for you.
You're too bad.
No, Patches, I agree with everybody except one tonight here. Now, Mr. Ex-Ambassador to the United Nations, he forget that when he contract up, he stayed on the program collecting for a whole year and doing no work because he always here in St. Kitts. And even if he never in St. Kitts, he couldn't represent the United Nations like you. So we don't know what he was doing. A whole year passed and he collected money after his time expired. Let's talk about that. And like the last caller here said, there should be open investigation on Zambo death because according to the clip, everybody could listen to the clip and see exactly that he knows something about the assassination of Zambo, and that investigation should be dealt with. Let all who know Zambo was assassinated, let them come out and talk. Time short, I might come back. Let somebody get to do. I'll be back, Dr. Patrice.
Thank you very much. Let's go back to the lines. Call your line.
Good evening, Honorable Patrice. Boy, they can't stop
the People's King.
The more slight the bun, the more you see your way. And you can break all of them heart. Let her go ahead and run with you. You understand me? You got more endurance than any one of them because you're fitter and all of them. Patrice, you forget about the house, the craft house yard, where all them things up to the pumpkin, everything was sold by the same minister, You forget down the shoreline was sold by the same minister. So, and up to now, nobody know where the money them is. You understand me? Because he just let us sell. Well, the biggest shock you're going to hear now. You remember they had a place there they call all kind of things. He opened it up and was renting it to people. And they come and they pay a fee and so on. During the time he went in, he went and sold the place behind his family then back to a merchant in St. Kitts. But and tools, I will tell you who the merchant is, but you should know who bought the place. You understand me? And it's there when they move in on him to take him to court for the property. You understand me? He is no stranger to fraud and forgery and scampishness. So when you hear them talking, just let them bang them out. But it's like a real problem here. And it may sound like a bitter, main bitter. And I don't have a problem with somebody trying to make a living and different thing like that. I heard the Prime Minister said the other day that he will be giving the bus drivers and them free tires, free brake shoe, and he's going to give them free gas and all them kind of things. But what I want to know, why you going to take these things and give to people who wanted people in the public and they're not vaccinated? You're building up a natural disaster for ourselves. You know, who to get these things, they have to be vaccinated. There's nothing wrong with doing them. But you can't take up and give a man running a bus and he ain't vaccinated and he can't school children, he can't all kind of people and don't want to wear a mask. And then he gonna get free tires. It's like you're rewarding them for nothing. You know? So I hope that the PM and the cabinet them look into that and think it over before they start to pass out the money. Okay? That is what bothers me. I couldn't sleep for a couple of nights well. You understand me? Because I don't think, I don't have no problem with them getting the money, clearly. I don't have a problem with that. But I don't think none of them should get if they is not vaccinated. Because they're going to be carrying school children and carrying passengers and just making more danger for the country. That the hospital, the nurses and all of them and the doctors and all of them come down with a burden. So I think they need to look in that. But parties continue to do your work. Nobody can stop you. Let them know your pain. Okay? For up there. So don't worry about them when they come with the old talk and the old this and that. Because the more like the bun, the more you see it. And God bless the Prime Minister. You couldn't get a better Prime Minister in this world than him. You understand me? He wait patiently for it and he get it. Thank you very much, Patrick, for the opportunity to talk.
Thank you. The People's King. You remind us up about the Pumpkin Craft House and the Shoreline Plaza. Caller, you like.
Greetings in the name of our great African ancestors, especially the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey and Queen Enzing. Blessed evening, my beloved African, but how are you, the family?
Blessed evening, my brother. Family's good, family's fine. What about you and yours?
Good, man. Everything I be, my beloved brother. Now, my brother, let me say, right? These people, brother, don't waste much time on them. You just give them the verbal fire and you move on. Because, brother,
yes,
you are very intelligent, more intelligent than all of those mental midgets who are running the mouth. You're more loving. You love people. You're a caring brother. You love your people. Brother, especially when you were born, beloved. I know you love the entire federation, you know, but you love your Newtown people, my beloved. But and that is great, beloved. And you have contributed and continue to contribute immensely to the upliftment of St. Kitts Nevis, my beloved brother. More than all of them. They're just jealous of you, beloved. But, you know, just continue to do the great things for your country, my beloved. And don't worry with none of them. Like I said, just give them blaze verbal fire on them and then you just move on. Because, brother, I don't know. Apart from that rat, you know, the red rat, all the others look like a me and you. I wonder, beloved, I wonder if you were of a different race, if you have all of these negative, groundless negative things to say about you. But with some African people, too many of them jealous of their own brothers and sisters, man. That's why our liberation going to stay so long to come, beloved. So, my beloved, you just continue to do the people's work. Continue to contribute to the upliftment of your country and your people, and just dusting all of them faces, beloved. And you thief nothing, you know, think nothing, that cheat children out the thing, and you know all the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, the treasury of St. Kitts and Nevis, any money that I know about, beloved. Maybe you might maybe on a little taxes in your property that I know you pay that. So, beloved, you know what I mean? You got so many problems in St. Kitts Nevis, and still these unpatriotic, evil people ain't got nothing to contribute to the upliftment of St. Kitts Nevis And he just say about negativity, utter nonsense. So my beloved brother, you know, brother, and I know, you're going to continue to do the great work for your people. And if it's one brother, one person will stand with you, beloved brother Patrice. You know, I love you like my blood brother come out of my mother's womb. And that's the understood. I've been saying that, beloved. I will stand with you if I have to stand with you alone. And I know I'm not going to be alone, brother, because you're a beloved brother. And a lot of people love you, beloved. A lot of people genuinely love you. And this ain't got to do with now because you're in politics before that, beloved. So, beloved, just don't worry and just think dust in the face. And you just continue uplifting your people and your country. My beloved brother, continue to listen. Keep up the great works. Pan-Africanism our purse. One love, my beloved brother.
One love, my brother. I'm humbled by your support and the support of others. Caller, your life.
Yeah, Patrice, good night. I'm one man stand with you and stand with the Prime Minister. Because this country knows what that young brother is doing. He's blessed. Everything this man do, he was doing good. The man moving like the mighty healer who cleansed the letter. When the people saw this man Patches, they started shouting, my God, Timothy Harris, Sylvester Harris is doing good. When I heard to the Patches, some brothers who sell in the food cart on the square told me that the man meet them. And he's so genuine, they didn't know. I tell them, man, that's how the man be. Only the negative people will talk negative thing about the people. For you all. And the guy was so delighted when he heard the man talk. The man went and confronted them. You know, up to when they tell him about the police and how the police were behaving. Him tell them, don't worry. That ain't with the agenda. We want everybody to be comfortable. And God bless that guy. Because as long as John down here in the land of the living, Timothy ain't going nowhere. He's not going nowhere. He's doing a good job. And he trying to make little and make it work among the people. But we got some tests in this country. If they feel like people can just lie low and watch these good performance from a reasonable Prime Minister go bed in their life. Patches, have a good night. Hey, Patches, watch here. Since you left, people up the port just losing their job like that. And I warning the port authority, you know, to done it, turning over people in this kind of crisis. Finish with it. Bring an end to it. It's not nice. They're turning away the poor people, them. Like one lady told me, they come at her up and down the job asking for. Well, they got letter for her. It's not nice, and we're not going to tolerate it because they end with the promise where we went out there and back on. And if it's one man, they're going to hear his jam down, you know. Because, you know, he went through that. Patches, have a good night and continue doing the good work for the people. Because the people love you, you know. It's in politics alone, you know. It's years ago people love you. Have a good night, Patches.
Have a good night, Jam Down. Always assertive, always to the point. And yes, there's only one Prime Minister at a time. And he's doing good. The call of your life.
Yeah, good evening, Patrice.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, Patrice, I wanted to be brief and concise. But listen, you come with a blistering attack tonight. And I think Mr. Conde will humble himself from that speech what you gave tonight. What I want you to do, in the tape, I could recall when you had that tape with the interview with him in relation to Zambo. And I want you to, when you see where you normally stop the tape, let the tape roll about for 4 more minutes and you hear Mr. Kondo call the name of who assassinated Zambo. That is all I have to say for tonight. Thank you very much, brother.
Thank you very much, my brother. I'll listen clearly to the tape. You know, sometimes you don't want to play too long a soundbite, but I'll take your advice, and I'm going to listen to the tape because I was the one who interviewed him. You're correct. Let's go back to the lines. Call your line.
Greetings, Mr. Ian Patches Liburd. How are you, my brother?
Greetings, my brother. I am peaceful. Yourself?
I'm very peaceful myself. Humanity by nature is gifted to think freely. But in order that this free thought should lead him to the goal of liberty and independence, his way of thinking must be shaped by the process of education. Mr. Ian Patches Liburd, your topic tonight, very sound. You always have some timely topic from since the invention of your program years back. You always come with topic concerning the country. And I don't think no one should, ambassador. I mean, you never see an ambassador come and even show some kind of enlightenment on that kind of portfolio. So it's good to see you shed some light there. And also, you see, when you highlight things concerning Sam Kondo or Dwyer, they were ministers of government. They were playing that role. And you just talk about things that what happened in government, where they were there. You don't talk about nothing about the personalities. You don't do that because when you had mentioned some years back concerning the former tourism minister with the Love Valley project, when I heard you make the comments, I said, boy, I see listening, and I said, boy, who am the Patches, boy? Those were the comments I said. And then when I hear the response from the tourism minister to what you had said, and you played the tape tonight, I said, boy, no man, he let me down. Because I didn't think that he was in that frame of mind and thoughts and him negative concerning the development of the country, the way he just act and the way he just talk. So I didn't expect none of them kind of bitterness to lay off on the portfolio he was managing. And when he said what he said, I said, wow, that's a hard one. So that's what you does. You enlighten the country with what's taking place and what is happening. And concerning Mr. Kondo, with what you said, with what he said that you as ambassador on your program. Come on, Sam. Sam, don't talk about they're representing the ghetto people and ordinary people, so the ordinary people mustn't be educated. That's what your program does. You educate people. You see, the street man is saying is that's what he's supposed to be doing, because Batch is ordinary man. He's a street man. And he always wants his people to be educated. So how Sam the talk about Batch so much and he wants to see you enlighten people through your program? You see, that's why Dr. Harris would always be a light for Sam Kondo, because he more consistent than Sam Kondo. In the years of politics, Sam Kondo been doing politics. He should not leave Buckley's. When you go up on Beacon Heights top and you peep down, he should not leave Buckley's in that kind of scramble. He should have put Buckley's up at Beacon Heights. Seeing that Buckley's stands so much in the revolution, Buckley's revolution that we always talk about. More Buckley's from India, more the generation of people from India, and give them this part of Beacon Heights. What do you mean? Beacon Heights too good for Buckley's people? If Sam Kondo did do all those things in his reign of what he was as representing his country, he would have been a star. Trust me. And when he making reference, you play the tape too, concerning the Prime Minister ensuring something concerning the people. He should have put out some evidence to what he's saying. He can't just talk. He got put evidence to what he said. That's what he does. You pull tape. You show the country what you're talking about. You bring facts to people. If people want to vex with facts, that's the problem. But education is the way to go, because we are living in spiritual times. Mr. Patches, you continue to be good, because your program is straight talk. You talk about what's happening in the country. And that is what we want to hear, what's going on in the country. Even when it's facing the unity administration, you bring it to the floor. You don't run from anything. You bring things to the floor. You continue to be strong, and you stay healthy. God bless.
Thank you. You do the same as well, my brother. And yes, you're true. We don't attack people. We bring the facts. That's all we do. If you want to deny it. Bring the alternative facts then, if you have facts. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live.
Good night, Patrick.
Caller.
Good night, Patrick.
The Bible man. Good night, my brother.
Well, I hear you went in the Bible. Yeah. But you did not remember. You went in Genesis, you got in Numbers.
You went to Numbers?
Yeah. Numbers chapter 35. And verse 30. Whosoever kill any person, the murderer shall surely put to death. You hear that? The murderer shall surely put to death anybody. Kill anybody. The murderer shall surely put by mouth of two witnesses are. And he continued down. But I won't really take that tonight. I only tell you where it be in Numbers chapter 35.
Okay.
Now, my beloved brother, I am going to, the reason why a lot of people, and the reason why God is going to bless you so mightily. Here is in Psalm 41, 1 and 2. Here is it. Blessed is the man that considereth the poor. In the time of trouble, the Lord shall deliver him. The Lord shall preserve him alive. The Lord shall preserve him and keep him alive. The Lord, he shall bless him upon the earth. God will not deliver him unto the hand of his enemy. You know what happened, Brother Patrick? You look after the poor people, God is not going to put you in the hands of the enemy. He can deliver you. That's the reason you're looking out for the 5 years. You look after the poor people. God tell you now, we are going to deliver you from the hand of the enemy. So not care how they plans and not care how they arrange. They can't do nothing, Mr. Patrick. And what's going to happen here? The word of God said, He will bless you. He will keep you alive. And the word of God said, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. Are ordered by the Lord. And so, you're the blessed man because you look after the poor people. I hear somebody, I hear when you say, you're doing a wrong thing. I said, Lord, I didn't know you. I know you don't get it. But the situation is it, they are trampling, as God tells Paul, you're kicking against the prick. And a lot of them are kicking against the prick. God, let God do. Nobody's supposed to interfere in that. Nobody's supposed to interfere in Mr. Harris, number one. Because it's God put Mr. Harris in charge of it. And God is going to look after Mr. Harris. And no, God is going to look after you. So, Mr. Patrick, this song, they can't do nothing. They cannot do nothing. They could pick and plant and say all what they want to say. And the panic factory. And as I say, every Monday and Wednesday and Friday, the station, I call wolf. And when the wolf comes, they ain't gonna let it enough. They ask me, the doctor a question, and up to now the doctor did not answer them. All he had to say, the vaccine is good and safe. Just like the doctor always said that, but he come down with it. And so, every time they go by the panic factory, and they always call it wolf, they always throwing stone, and who got glass house, don't throw stone, and so they always doing it. And so, Mr. Patrick, you continue to do what you have to do. And I'm saying, God will bless you. You know why God blessing you? Because you look after the poor people. You look after the poor people. You give them half of your salary and your earnings. So God will bless you mightily. So you be strong. And every morning you get up, you give God thanks and praise for another day. Have a pleasant day, Mr. Patrick.
Have a pleasant night. The Bible man used to write. I went to Genesis, you went to Numbers. We were all talking about the moral law, or the universal moral law. Whoever sheds man's blood by man, his blood shall be shed. For in the image of God, he made man. And you went in the Old Testament as well, and you brought us Numbers. Whoso killeth any person, the murderer shall be put to death by the mouth of witnesses, but one witness shall not testify against any person to cause him to die. Caller, you're live. Thank you for holding. Are you there, caller?
Yeah, I have a attack me here. What say we can? Yes, again. Yesterday I went to by the Chinese at Squat Street, right? And they really had no parking there. But a lot of people, and one man who used to work with them a long time, he parked on the side. And there was a lot of argument, and they called police because they put the sparklers that he can reverse that. And that is bad because they're not going to give me back my money. Take all your guns and give me back my money because I come to shop. And when there was this sickness around, they used to work that for the money. And the gentleman, he walked all of St. Martin with them, and he walked down here to by KFC with them. So they're not call to the man like that. So we think if people don't get a lot of knockball from the Chinese then, why are you bringing them here for? We partner be down there, but KFC should be a parking lot for people to park up. So, not because me government, I don't know. Our government, they do a lot of wrong things, and they fail because all we know what they mean, and then they do us the like. So that's how it works. And looking at the food expenses, And you say, when you win, you're going to give $400. But if you change the $100, you say you can't come up to the food them, because all the you go this week, you think them gone up. So I pay to give the raise and give the people that are working on the road the raise because they just say, and thanks for liar, but then you Rodney to fix up down here by Beneficiary or plant up the whole wall. He take down all the bush them yesterday and he makes down here look good. So thank for boys again, correct for boys, you. Because the central basket man should have seen that. Because he wants all of you collecting money. I ain't saying nothing else, you.
My little friend, you know, it's a simple mathematical
Mr. Liburd.
And maths is my strongest weak point. In the former administration, your dollar was worth 83 cents. We came in, the unity came in and moved the VAT on food, took off the 70%. So if you go to Valimart, Rams or Best Buy or up by Judith and the Pasture and you spend $100, you get $100. Not before. Because you take the $17 that came out the $100 on VAT and you can buy relish. It's as simple and straightforward as that. Caller, thank you for holding. You're live. Yes, caller?
No. My turn now. You're laughing me. I was calling since 8 o'clock.
How will that lady get in so fast ahead of you?
No, because she has a program and she should go there and stop talk about somebody and some program. And you should have learned now if she reject leader, married. So don't come on your program, come tell you no foolishness. And it's because the Prime Minister moving faster than them. Why they vex? You hear what the lady say? You have the facts. Use them. One of these time, you take a whole night for them, because you have more. Don't worry with us. Get home safely.
All the tips, right?
Harris again, get home safely. He moving too fast. We give him more money than everybody in the world. And keeping down everything. See you. Good night.
Good night.
And staying too long, because you know that a maths is my weakest point too. So I have to use the English. Tell her go up and she station, go talk the foolishness. She reject leader and married. All of them things not suit the situation.
You done booklets? Oh, Alice God. Quickly, Patches, good evening. Read this email. Good to hear from you on this Monday night. Lord God knows your haters are having kittens. It's all the praises you are getting for the fine job you are doing on the world stage. Let them talk that, Patches, with everyone bawling out for mercy and handouts from the man in the street, the corporate bigwigs. I am saying mercy must be rendered to Mr. Fox at Her Majesty's prison. He's no longer a threat to society. He's older and frail. No more punishment must be handed down to him. In fact, I'm sure if he's released, he will return to England where he can live out the rest of his life with some dignity. Please, Mr. Liburd, you're a man of God and you believe in second chances. Say something to the appropriate folks to help this soul. Patches, come home. They want you to do so. God bless you. Read this email. Let's go to the lines. Caller, thank you for holding your live. Yes, caller. Yes, caller, you're live.
Hello?
Hello, caller.
Yeah, good night, Patches. This is Alva Pemberton. How are you, sir? I just want to take this opportunity to support all what the callers are saying pertaining to your work at the UN. But I guess you forget to mention that as the new ambassador, you have now taken over the chair of a committee that you're now doing a magnanimous job doing. I think you should elaborate a little more about that because, I mean, people think to underestimate the work of the ambassador. So I think you should shed a little more light on that and give them some enlightenment pertaining to your role taking over this new chairman, not even a year as ambassador, but you are leading this program. Good night. Have a good one.
Good night, my dear brother. Yes.
Yeah.
Referring to the chair of the CARICOM caucus.
Yeah.
Deliver on behalf of CARICOM today at the annual meeting. The issue as relates to small arms and the traffic in small arms. But yes, you're right. But sometimes I don't like to talk about myself. But at some other time, we'll get some more information of the work I'm doing. Now, caller, thank you for holding your line.
Yes, Patches. November the 22nd, 1963, John F. Kennedy was assassinated. And November the 22nd, 2014, all Kittian and Nevis was barred from going into Canada, as usual. You have to go to a load of ropes and get visa to go to Canada. Who caused that? The federal leader caused that. So let us talk about that. And again, let us talk about what happened up in Gatwick Airport. And let us talk about why the former deputy prime minister, whom position you succeeded, why he could not go to America until 2015, when our dear beloved prime minister is the one who recommended that they give him a chance to come in there because of his position. Let us talk about them there. And the last thing I'm saying now, please do not forget to play the clip right through. What the caller asked you to play about the assassination of the Rasta man who helped everybody in the village who had need. That is Zambo. There are stories to be told. Patches, have a good night. Thank you very much until Thursday.
Have a good night as well. We go back to the lines.
Yes. Good night, Alan Patches. I'm going on the second step, go up to my husband. And I work in Central. And Central is supposed to give me what I want. And me and care what nobody says. All of them say that Douglas was here and Timothy was here when he turned the chicken in them. So me and I want to share this with me. She bounce him out on the bang boy still.
Okay. Yeah. We ain't going down there. Please, we ain't going down there. That's for another program. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller. Okay. If you just joined us, my Straight Dog family, we were in fact looking at the UN and the law of nature. Let's go back to the lines. Call your line.
If you didn't
Hello?
stop her, she would not go in and come in and make care what Timothy do. He is the prime minister. See you.
Okay. Well, that's what Straight Talk is all about. We do get the little banter. We try to avoid it as much as possible. But my colleague raised a point as it relates to the ambassador. But let's take this call. I don't want to bridle the calls. Call your line.
Mr. Patches, one quick question. You know my voice, you know I'm speaking. Can I get a chance
Yes, I'm supposed to meet.
Can I get a chance to sit with you at the CARICOM chair meeting, or even at the United Nations? You know who I am. I'll call you off the record.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. The CARICOM caucus, well, we'll talk about that. But let's go back to the lines. Call your line.
Hello?
Yes, your line.
Yeah, Patches, good evening. How are you doing?
I am peaceful.
Yeah, sorry I got in to your program late because, the West Indies played this evening. And unfortunately, we lose that game. So going down the series, Australia winning 2-1. And the next thing on the agenda, the election in St. Lucia.
Oh, yes, how's that going?
Well, in speaking to my friends earlier in St. Lucia, everything went well on the ground in terms of the election. They are now just waiting, and the results. So I haven't really spoken to anyone because I was concentrating in my cricket where we just lost off.
Okay.
So let me just come in to see what you are going with this evening, because there are a lot of things that I really, to be honest, want to discuss. I know I don't really have the time tonight, because when I look at the time there, I realize now it's done minutes to 10. I didn't even realize it's so late. So I know you're on the home stretch, but I continue to be very disappointed in certain people, especially former ministers, the opposition, the way they conduct themselves, the way they're dealing with this corona. And I really expect different from the opposition leader, especially being a doctor, and the chairman of the party being a doctor, right? But when I'm going to look at, imagine, in reference to the former, do you have anything specific on the table, or you just have an open thing?
I was looking at United Nations and the law of nature. And some people trying to shut down straight talks, saying some stupidness about an ambassador should have a program, trying to shut down free speech. I'm giving them some booklocks. I'm recommending some booklocks with their stupidness.
Well, I want to say, I will not say that everything that you do, you're right, and there's no one that will be always right in what they do. But these people, especially former ministers, who I just continue to be very disappointed. Imagine, I understand before election they went on the TV with Douglas, the dishonorable, horrible leader of the opposition and disgraced leader of the opposition. I understand they went on the TV before the election, say we get together again. Imagine, based on the record of the previous government, which we are not going back there. We are not going back there. So I understand that they support the dream team, because in 2015 Douglas said he has a dream team. And if it's one time that Douglas spoke the truth, was that time. Because I know at the end of the results, Douglas and his team really will be still dreaming about the election. And do you know, a few Mondays ago, just because we had curfew on a Monday afternoon, Douglas had a political meeting on a particular radio station with 2 members of his party. Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, he had a public meeting because, as I said, he don't realize that election done gone. So he's still dreaming about getting into government. Conwis was on that program, and Jeffrey, which will end up to be like Conwis being a one-term representative. But I will get into that another time. I just really want to say that when you look at the record of the previous government, imagine in 2011, when a whopping 85% increase on the electricity. And Douglas said when he see the lady bill, he want to cry. Imagine a leader and ask the lady and the people to come to bring down the electricity. After he carry up the electricity, they must come march to bring down the electricity. Want to have the people in this country as a joke. A citizen asks him in a forum, imagine a national forum, the citizen asks him a question, he says he will sell the citizen. This man, I am telling you, we have rejected him, and don't matter whatever they try, Patches. Every Monday you have this rude DJ trying to do whatever. He doesn't even have any expertise on health, chatting his load of nonsense. He come back on Wednesdays and then don't talk about on Friday the few times that I heard people have on the radio. And let me just touch on certain things quickly, because I am, to be honest, very disappointed in Sam Kondo. I know he mentioned in reference to the severance fund. Let me ask you this question as a former minister of government. When we formed the government in 2015, what was the status of the severance fund when we got into government in 2015? What was the status?
There's not a cent in the severance fund.
And you had, when you got into the government, we had people in this country at that time, when we formed the government, did not receive their severance pay and waited for many years.
That is correct.
So now we have a crisis which the government is not responsible for, where we had to pay thousands of people one time. The government before had no crisis, but they couldn't pay the people. We have a real crisis, and we have paid almost every single person because of the outstanding fiscal management that we have in this country. They bankrupt the country because we had no leadership. The Minister of Finance was a total disgrace when it comes to management. He had no clue when it comes to leading the Ministry of Finance, and that is why he put the country, imagine we reach a whopping almost 200% in reference to the GDP in terms of debt, the second most indebted nation we recorded under him among the many disgraceful, performances. I am saying, Patches. Okay. Pardon?
Yeah, I was trying to get this a wrap because I'm running out of time.
Oh, yeah, because we're getting close to the end. Yeah, I just want to say quickly that anything else outside of team unity in this country is not an option. I want to say team unity, even at its worst, it is still better than Douglas and whoever he has with him at their best. I want to say that I accept a national debt. The government of St. Kitts and Nevis accept a national debt. The people of this country accept a national debt. But we will not accept a national debt at any cost. And I want to say, yes, I want to say that I have no confidence in the former Prime Minister. I have no confidence in the present opposition in St. Kitts and Nevis. But I could tell you, Patches, I could tell the people of this country, and let me assure the world, that I honestly, seriously, and absolutely have confidence in the future of St. Kitts and Nevis under a team unity government. I have 500 reasons why the opposition definitely do not deserve to be in government. And I will leave it there for now. You take care.
Thank you very much, my brother. Never out of words. And you're so right. And we like to bring in the facts, because this is what the then Minister of Labour said, I think it was in 2012 or 2013. Hear what he said. Try to get that soundbite up. Why is that playing? Anyway, let's go back to the lines as we wind down tonight's programming. Caller, thank you for holding. I'll get that soundbite from the former Minister of Labour saying the fund was absolutely empty. Caller, you're live. Okay, we missed that call. As we wind down tonight's programming, we were looking at, or we looked at, the UN ambassador and the law of nature. As we wind down tonight's programming, are you there, caller? Well, as we wind down, here's what. We can take one more call before we wrap for tonight. So let's take one more call. It's 4 before 10 o'clock. Remember, Straight Talk is heard each Monday and Thursday. Let's take this and make this my final call for tonight. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller?
Yeah, Mr. Baptist, I am back again.
Yes.
Now, listen here. The word of God says, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide on the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, he is my refuge, my fortress, in God will I trust. Surely he shall deliver me from the snares of the fowler and from the snares of the pestilence. He shall cover with his feathers, under his wing thou trust. His truth shall be my shield and a buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid of the terror by night, nor the arrow that flieth by day, nor the person that walks in dark.
Okay. We seem to have lost the caller, the Bible man. Here's what, we are almost out of time. Perhaps I'll take one more call in the next 2 minutes I have. One final call. But here's what, that's the way we're going to end it. We're going to end it with the Bible man. It's probably out of energy on his telephone. But on the note of the Bible, perhaps it's a good way to end tonight. And tonight I looked at the UN ambassador, as I said, and the law of nature. And while we are out of time, I want to make the point that there's a lot of confusion, lots of people get confused in terms of what the ambassador does, especially the ambassador at United Nations. And really, they get mixed up in terms of the United Nations ambassador and his or her relationship with the people, the citizens in the diaspora. Well, in truth and fact, there is not a fully functional consulate general of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis in New York or elsewhere. As such, there is no prescribed consular jurisdiction, but there is a diaspora policy which is being implemented by the diaspora officer, who is Thomas Albert Pemberton. But once fully operational, the primary role and function of this officer, or this office I should say, will be to manage consular relations between St. Kitts and Nevis and the United States, to which the Consulate General is accredited. And these relations or consular relations would include, for example, providing services to citizens of St. Kitts Nevis resident in the area of its jurisdiction, and consulate generals can have different areas. In New York, the tri-state, there's quite a lot of citizens from diaspora. But the consulate general will provide services and information to non-citizens as well, interested in visiting, studying, or working, or doing business, or investing in St. Kitts Nevis. Promoting the interests of St. Kitts Nevis, including culture, tourism, commerce, education and trade and investment, as I said before, and developing mutually beneficial relationship in these and other strategic areas. So there's no official representative, I should say, or consul, as it's called, a consul of the St. Kitts Nevis government in the US, as I speak, who would assist and protect citizens of St. Kitts Nevis and facilitate trade and friendship between the people of St. Kitts and Nevis and the USA. It must be noted that the consul is distinguished from an ambassador. A consul is not an ambassador, neither vice versa. So the latter, ambassador, being a representative from one head of state to another. So there can be only one ambassador from one country to another, representing the particular country. And there's a mix-up between the ambassador at the UN and an ambassador, for example, of the OAS, beg your pardon, or the USA, for example. And this is something we'll speak about at some other time, so we can really get these things clarified, get the mix-up clarified in terms of the role of the UN ambassador. But my family, I focus on the nonsense, the absurdity that was peddled or being peddled, that an ambassador to the United Nations, whose role basically is to represent and promote the interests of the Federation of St. Kitts at this World Forum. But they are trying to say that being an ambassador, you should not have a conversation with the people. I, as ambassador, cannot have a conversation with the people I love, the people who made me what I am, and the people I will always fight for. So I shouldn't have a conversation with my people every Monday and or Thursday night. And I will, if that is the will of God. I also touch briefly on the law of nature, which according to the Old Testament, as I said, was understood as a moral law that dwells within the heart, conscience, and the right reason of every human being. The universal moral law is found, as I said, in the Old Testament, in the book of Genesis. Moses wrote that God set a moral law to govern humanity. I spoke to the excerpt from the Bible, Genesis chapter 9, verse 6. And I quoted in the English version, or from the English version, whosoever sheds man's blood, by man his blood shall be shed. For in the image of God he made man. How many of us stop to think that the law of nature is also expressed in our Constitution, the Declaration of Independence as the legal foundation for a new self-governing nation? And You can take my word, but you can also go read it yourself. Go read the preamble, I think it is called, of the Constitution of St. Christopher and Nevis, which says, and I quote, "Whereas the people of St. Christopher and Nevis declare the nation is established on the belief in Almighty God and the inherent dignity of each individual, asserts that they are entitled to the protection of fundamental rights and freedoms. So no one should try to muzzle me. If you are free, and you are free to promote the interests of the opposition, and no one can take that right and freedom from you. So too, I am free and committed, ambassador or not, to promote the interests of the team unity government and all the parties and all the people, and no one can take that right and freedom from me. You continue to promote a leader who took us down a dark road. You said that yourself. But there is only one prime minister, and we can only have one prime minister at a time. And this prime minister is the right prime minister, is in the right place, and is come at the right time. That prime minister is the Honorable Dr. Timothy Sylvester Harris. And I will continue to promote him because I believe that he's doing everything in the best interests, the best public interests of all the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Be they bus driver, be they food vendor, be they fruit vendors. He looks after every man. I've seen this man up close. I looked at him from afar, and I can tell you, I know, I speak with authority, that he is the best we've ever had. When you look at what we inherited, public debt, high crime, and now facing COVID, who could have done better? I dare say no one. No one could have done better, and that is my humble view. I remain as patriotic as any Kittitian or Nevisian. I believe in all of our values, and one of the values is the truth. And truth has never hurt anyone. And I told you earlier, remember, the young ladies used to say, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can do no harm. So for me, I am who I am. And as Patches, you know who I am. You know me, and I know you. For me, it is not anything extraordinary to address what I referred to earlier as the uncomfortable truth. For me, that is who I am and how I operate. And I have always, I will continue to implore everyone who take part in my conversation on Tuesdays or Mondays, beg your pardon, and Thursdays, just speak the truth. And right now, we don't even have to fear of having to stand alone, but speak the truth, even if you have to stand alone. My Straight Dog family, I will continue to promote justice, to promote fairness, and to promote truth. That is my story tonight, and I am clinging to that story. Until we connect on Thursday for another edition of Straight Up, have yourself the best of what's left of tonight. Be good to all whom you meet. Respect others. But first of all, respect yourselves. Do not let anybody muzzle you. You speak the truth. Remember, whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you just got to believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you to the night. And my Straight Up family, keep moving on. Bye-bye until we connect on Thursday. Did I thank Almighty God? If I didn't, I'm making a blunder. But if I did, it's always nice to do it twice. I thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight. And as always, I want to thank you, the many callers. I want to thank the emailers. I want to thank those on social media, Facebook, YouTube, those on the big bad ZIZ radio, 96.5 on the FM dial. I want to thank the man at the console, Theophilus Theo Clark, the mayor of St. Paul's. I want to thank Bevis Wilkinson in the machine room, our technocrats, our technician, and also John James. Without all of them and all of you, there will be no Straight Up. So until we connect on Thursday, be good to yourselves, bye-bye, and keep moving on. Just keep moving on.
When I wake in the morning, I thank God for the morning light. Give Him thanks and praises for taking me safely through the night. For the rest of food and loving care, and for my mother's breath of life that's got me here. So whatever my mind conceive that I will achieve, you better believe I do the things I should, be to my brethren kind and good, the best I could. So I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow.
All the COVID-19 vaccines have been thoroughly tested and all provide a high degree of protection against getting seriously ill and dying from the disease. So take whatever vaccine you are offered, even if you have already had COVID-19. It is important to be vaccinated as soon as possible and not wait. This way, we build immunity in our communities faster and can get back to our normal lives. This message is brought to you by UNESCO, WHO, and your local radio station.
Partner, how you doing? Where you been these days?
I've been on the family land. I cut back all the trees and them and burn the bush and planting some crops. I just here in town getting more fertilizer and a pump to pull up the water from the river.
Wait, so all the bush and the trees gone?
If you see crops, it's like I growing money.
But you use the land stabilization techniques and have approval to take the river water, right?
Approval? The river is on my property and land, is my land.
Partner, the land is still the island. It's all of we have to live here. The soil runoff will silt up the river. The fertilizer will grow weeds and cause flood when season start. Plus the water resources for everyone, not just your crop. You don't realize the climate is changing?
Look, I don't care about all of that. It's my land, my crops, and my water. No one can tell me what to do.
This is our land, and climate change is changing the challenges we face as a nation. Land management technique, water resource protection, and flood and drought mitigation is for everyone who lives on this land. Our island. Be a part of the change. A message of hope from Island Resilience, promoting a climate of change.
This is my land, my island, our home. It's time to come together. together to keep her forever resilient and strong.
Island Resilience, promoting a climate of change. The Climate Change Adaptation and Sustainable Land Management Initiative of the OECS Commission, funded by the European Union.
Go to islandresilience.org for more information or follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and